There are few places in the millennia-long history of the Elves that hold as much strategic and religious significance as the Blighted Isle on the northern coast of Ulthuan. Home to the Shrine of Khaine, where Anarion the Defender first drew the Widowmaker, it has been the site of constant warfare and bloodshed since the Sundering, a fact very much relished by the godly, homicidal spirit that dwells within. It was upon this blasted wasteland that the cataclysmic forces unleashed by Malekith and his cabal of powerful sorcerers were felt the strongest all those years ago, carving deep wounds into the brittle earth, drowning the land, and shattering the northern part of the continent. A stroke of madness that shook the planet to its very core. As the great fortress cities of that forsaken realm were pulled from the bedrock and sailed into the roiling seas, the Witch King bitterly swore to reclaim the Shrine of Khaine and the glory of Anlek, restoring old Nagarath to its former greatness. Now, he finally has that opportunity, at the helm of a terrifying army, and the combined naval might of Nagarath at his back. Ulthuan is the true home of the Dark Elves, and its people will bow to their rightful king or be crushed under his mailed fist. The shadow of Khaine is ever growing. Prince Tyrion, heir of Anarion and Ulthuan's greatest champion since its first warrior king, is considered by many Azur as the herald of a new golden age, a beacon of leadership and martial skill blazing in a black sea of chaos. They believe he will lead a dying race towards its salvation, and they might be right, but to do that and seize his destiny, he must first confront his own demons. And Tyrion has ever had a darkness boiling deep within. Though physically unblemished, strikingly handsome and powerfully built, the bloody-handed god left his mark on the young prince another way. A black rage and thirst for combat that cannot be sated and cannot be slaked. Another age turns, and still, the Elves of Krace, Kalador, and the Guardians of the Shrines of Azurian sail to the Blighted Isle to push back their dark cousins and prevent the Godslayer from falling into the Witch King's malevolent hands. And though the curse of Anarion marks them both, Malekith and Tyrion will battle on this blasted rock for supremacy, in a war that has no end in sight. And though the curse of Anarion may one day consume his heirs, utterly destroying them, on this day, it will fuel their fury and guide their hands, as Destroyer and Sungfang claim the lives of undying elves, much to the delight of the Lord of Murder. And upon this shattered rock, a sundered race will build their church, the broken and bloodied bodies of their comrades forming the foundation of an offering to Khaine, with the two most powerful navies on the planet waiting on the wings, offering a tantalizing glimpse of what Warhammer naval combat could actually be like. A scorched and desolate wasteland drenched by the constantly shifting tides, the only thing separating these two hated rivals. The cool thing about a place like this is that it reflects the dichotomy of the elves themselves, light and dark, flooded then dry and barren, and a symbol of great importance to both the Azur and the Druchii. Both the High Elves and the Dark Elves worship Khaine and rever Anarion, even though you'd be hard-pressed to find two factions that hate each other more. If we're being honest, Tyrion isn't the only High Elf that lets Khaine's bloodlust enter his heart. It's a very common thing for elves to take emotion and feeling to its soaring peaks and darkest depths. So anything they take part in, whether it be art, love, or war, they have to struggle to maintain that balance, that neutrality. And it doesn't always work. The Dark Elves are the perfect representation of that, what happens when an elf becomes pure, unadulterated desire and dedication. And as the gap between these two armies close, they'll be looking to share their cultures with each other one more time. Ranks upon ranks of Tower Shield Dark Shards, the Hydras of Clark Harond, swordsmen from the City of Executioners, and the Witch King's personal guard looking to enter the fray as the first shots are traded between both armies, and the battle begins in earnest. High Elves will obviously have the range advantage here as Penumbral Pendulum drops down, hits a few of them, and will force them back, but the Dark Elves have the advantage of armor-piercing missiles and a very powerful rush component as the Hydras move up, start looking like pincushions under a massive amount of withering skirmish fire from the High Elf archers. But on larger scale battles like this, using Hydras as a meat shield isn't such a bad idea, especially when another takes its place procs and gives them a huge boost in health regeneration. They're providing a ton of cover for the Dark Elf advance and can smash through even a sturdy shield wall. The Druchii can afford that damage to them if it means their infantry makes it into combat unscathed. Now another Hydra getting ready to unleash a storm of flame from its 5 mouths. And that is going to be some unfriendly immolation out on the flank, being demolished. An Azure Phalanx absolutely destroyed from the flank there as the Dread Spear's charge in the center hits home and the infantry clash begins. And chaos is erupting now all across the battlefield. Tracer shots crisscrossing between each other's armies as the Moondragon lands on the flank of a bunch of Dread Spears. And the Eagles are coming as well. And look at that sweeping shot of the Blighted Isle. We've got a fiery convocation erupting from the ground now, spewing magma and slamming through the flank of the Dark Elf line. Absolutely amazing cast there, and a Penumbral Pendulum following it up, carving a path of red ruin, absolutely eviscerating the front ranks of Spearmen there. Even better cast in the fiery convocation, while Tyrion deep into melee, showing off that Sunfang style, that elven cockiness and ease of the blade. He's definitely got some panache to him. So much cooler to see him fight dismounted because he gets those unique kill animations. When he's on Malhendir, doesn't really have anything unique about his fighting style, but when he's on foot, he's got those spins, he's got those twirls. Now a Canine Assassin coming over to play. I think that guy needs to read the lore. Tyrion eats Dark Elf Assassins for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we'll see how that fight goes. Get a sweeping shot of the battlefield now as the Order of the Loremasters holds down their flank. The Azure on the left are holding for now as the Dark Shards fire in. There is some routing out far on the sides of the battlefield as Murderous Prowess pops, kicks in now, giving the entire Dark Elf army more of that AP and melee damage. Hydra in the thick of the fighting as Sunfang rips through the side of the Dark Elf line. That was a nasty cast, did a lot of damage to those Blackheart Corsairs and the Dread Spears and Bleak Swords locked into combat, but the Order of the Loremasters not doing so well out here, charging the flank like Cold Ones, and Hargoneth Executioners holding down, anchoring the line as Swordmasters. Their good counterpart, you could say, fighting to the death. Both two-handed swordsmen with AP and bonus versus infantry. Pretty nasty fight going on. And they are completely surrounded here, cut off from the rest of the army as more reinforcements pour in. Hydra surrounded by Phoenix Guard and Dragon Princes of Kalador. And a fiery convocation again from the lore of high magic, ripping through the flank and immolating a bunch of Cold Ones and the Dark Elf infantry as the Star Dragon anchors the line there. Tyrion coming over to reinforce, more Dark Elf shots crisscrossing the battlefield, and the flank for the Order of the Loremasters has completely collapsed here under the weight of Malekith's assault, and we will be seeing him soon as the Reaper Bolt Thrower fires in and racks up some more of those kills. Tyrion actually dueling with Morathi here, the Hag Sorceress of Grond. Not a fight she really wants to take. Decent caster for sure, some really cool spinning animations, but not really sure she wants to fight Sunfang and Tyrion, the Defender of Ulthuan, in close quarters combat. More of a caster, and she is gonna book it the hell out of there. She does have the hots for Tyrion if we go by End Times lore, but getting away from him in this case, in peculiar Dark Elf fashion, I guess, playing hard to get. She's so weird. Basically, Tyrion's great aunt, and she wants to bang him because she thinks he's an Arion reborn. But no banging for her today. Star Dragon Strawberry Milkshake smacking her in the face, and now she sleeps with the fishes. Yet another casualty in Khaine's insatiable desire for blood. Dragon Princes of Kalador cleaning up a lot of kills on the Bleak Swords here, protecting the flank and the rear of the High Elf army. But the numbers are being thinned out heavily on both sides as the Reaper Bolt Throwers reap their terrible toll. Order of the Loremasters has completely collapsed here, and it is up to Tyrion and the Defenders of Ulthuan to seal the deal here and push back the tides of the Druchii. But the balance bar is in the Dark Elves' favor. Cavalry superiority still on the field for the High Elves, though, and those Dragon Princes can make a big impact if they're able to cycle charge in. Still some dragons on the field as well. Black Dragon, Star Dragon, and Moon Dragon all still alive, and the Great Eagle still fighting as Malekith stands with the Black Guard of Nagaron behind him, waiting to receive the duel of a lifetime. And yes, we are going to get a duel here between Tyrion, Defender of Ulthuan, and Malekith, the Witch King, who would have you believe is the true Phoenix King. And here comes the duel now. Tyrion's mad, he's pissed, drenched in blood, and they're about to go at it. The heirs of Anarion, the finest elven warriors on the planet, locked in a dance to the death, and this is why we brought them dismounted. for the unique animations that breathe so much more life into a fight like this. When you see iconic Warhammer characters duel, you don't want to just see them smack the crap out of the air. You want to see them react like they're actually fighting each other, and seeing this, man, warms my heart. Hated rivals crossing Destroyer and Sunfang and beating each other into bloody ruin. It is a beautiful thing as the Star Dragon unleashes some more strawberry milkshake into the Black Guard of Nagaron and pops them like popcorn in the microwave. But here we go. We got some more duel here. Tyrion and Malekith going at it. And that animation is so cool. Horizontal strike sending Tyrion flying. And with Apotheosis constantly getting cast on Tyrion, it is healing him up. And he also has the Heart of Avalorn for that extra burst of health regeneration. But he needs it because Malekith was completely unscathed from his fight with the Order of the Lore Masters. And Tyrion was in the thick of the fighting, so had taken much damage on the other side of the field. But remember that Malekith still has Soul Stealer, he still has Cass, maybe Doombolt as well. Those could play a factor as this duel continues on. Mages supporting their lords here, and we're about half and half right now. Actually, I'd say Tyrion's a little bit ahead at the moment. And in a straight duel, with no casting, no support, Tyrion would win, but he had way less health going into the duel to start with. But the High Elves are on the back foot here. Their army is in shambles. The Blighted Isle is covered in the dead of both sides, but mostly Azur, to be fair. Soul Stealer goes down to equalize the duel just a little bit more. Tyrion getting back in there with Sunfang. And can he finish off the Witch King and salvage some kind of win for the High Elves here? Hydra's coming over to watch as their Phoenix King duels the Prince of Ulthuan. And one last vertical strike from above ends the game here. Army losses kicks in. My least favorite thing in Total War games when it kicks in too early. And we do not get to see a resolution of the duel. I think Tyrion probably would have won it. But with that Soul Stealer, it could have shifted things back in Malekith's favor. So it's hard to know, because remember, he'll be getting that HP swing back his way as well. But overall, pretty epic game. Amazing map by Ravenian. And probably the biggest factor in that entire battle was the great usage of magic from the Dark Elves. That Penumbral Pendulum absolutely eviscerated my front line. My High Elf Spearmen, you can see the kills on them. They did absolutely nothing. They should have been great with their gold chevrons at holding the line, and they weren't able to because that overcast Penumbral Pendulum just completely scythed them in half. And basically, it just allowed the White Power Ranger and his Dark Elf forces to push through and get into my back lines much earlier than I would have liked. I was super sad, though. Tyrion had one of the most cinematic moments I've ever seen, like something straight out of a movie, when a Khainite assassin bust through the ranks and went right for him. Tyrion dueled him and straight up sync killed him with that dodge spin and backward stab, all in one fluid motion, and it was beautiful to watch. But it happened in the middle of a huge boulder that had no collision, so you couldn't see it at all. They were literally like clipped into the middle of a boulder, and it sucked because I would have loved to show that one off. It would have made for an amazing moment in this replay, but it didn't happen. It's very rare you get to see a Lord kill another hero with a sync kill, but yeah, that was pretty dope. Overall, really fun battle. The Dark Shards and the Shades especially, and actually some of the Cavalry, the Cold One Knights and the Dread Knights, made a huge impact on that game. My Dragon Prince of Caledor did very well, but just not enough to turn the tide of the battle. And I want to thank Benny, Gojira, and the White Power Ranger for joining me on this very exciting adventure. At least for now, the Dark Elves have taken control of the Blighted Isle and the Shrine of Khaine. Will Malekith draw the Widowmaker? Find out next episode on Dragon Ball Z, after Malekith spends like 20 minutes powering up. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle. See you next time. Any Pride, signing out for now.